So hey guys, how's it going on? Welcome back to a brand new episode on our channel, and today in this episode what we are going to cover is function calling in Gemini. So let me give you a glimpse what we are going to do. So this is a basic application which consists of some popular AI tools and the categories in which they operate. Like DAL-E is used for image generation, and Midjourney is used for image generation, whereas ChatGPT is used for text generation, and you can say Codium is used for code generation, etc, etc. Okay, so what we are going to do is, let us say this is the place where I have to enter a prompt. So if I say list AI tools for image generation, so if I hit enter, you should see this loader, and now I will get only the AI tools which has image generation in this category. Now I can't pass this entire thing to my database, right, to fetch this. I only need to pass something like image generation, or let's say text generation. Okay, but I can't pass in the entire. So what does Gemini do here is, it looks on this prompt, like what is this prompt, what is the user willing to ask us, like he is looking to get some text generation tools. So what will Gemini do? Gemini will simply pass this text generation into our function so that it can fetch only AI tools with text generation category. So that is what Gemini is going to do. It will set the parameters for our fetch route, or you can say function. Alright, so that is what we are going to implement. So in the previous episode we have done setting up Gemini and using this history function, like training our model. Till there we have covered in the previous episode, but in today's one we are going to set up function calling and see what we can do with it. Alright, so this is the basic setup which we have done in the previous episode, and now let's just continue right from there. Okay, so this is the index.js in which I have connected a MongoDB database by importing the mongoose, and I have just started the connection. Okay, now if I just do Ctrl J CLS and then nodemon index.js, my servers will start, and let's see if the Mongo database is rightly connected. And yeah, it's connected to MongoDB. Now let me show you a glimpse of how the what sort of data the MongoDB already has. So this is package.js. Each of the tool has a name, a description of its own, an image, and a category. It is reference to the category. Okay, so this is the category.js. It has a title of each one and the packages, all the packages within that particular category. Now let me show you the database. So this is how the database looks. Currently we have some categories, one of which is text generation, and then image generation, content generation, video generation, code generation. Okay, and each one of them have these packages within them, you can see. And if we go to the packages, we have few packages which I have just showed you here. All these packages in this format: the name, the description, the image, and the categories to which this particular package or AI tool belongs. Okay, so this is how the database is. So now what we are going to do is, we will be changing the api.js file to operate. Okay, so the first thing, what are we going to do? From the prompt we need the exact keyword which needs to be passed to our function. Okay, we need the exact parameters which needs to be passed to the function. So first of all, let's define a function to which we can pass the parameter, let's say the category name, through which we can populate our packages. Okay, let's do that first. So right now what I'm going to do is, let's just import the category, or let's just start creating the function which might be like fetch tools by category. Okay, so let's just define a function. Let's say async function fetch tools by category. Fetch tools by category, this is the function to which we will pass let's say the category title, and in this we are using try catch block, and within the, like, let's say catch block, we just say log error. Okay, so we have logged the error. Now within the try catch block we will try to get the packages by this given title. So let's just say const packages is equals to await category. We will import the model. Okay, category dot find one. Okay, we actually need category here, so let's just say y. We actually need to import this category. So what we'll do is const category is equals to require dot slash model slash category. Okay, so we get this category, then we do find one, and we want to find the category by its title, and once we find them, I want to populate its packages, to be frank. So let's just say we want to get the packages. All right, so we get the packages now. So now what we will do is return these packages, and also let's just simply log them so that we can use it for debugging purposes. So logging, and this is done. Okay, now this is the function. So let me just add a let me just add a comment. Okay, so yeah, this function, let's just say the function to fetch tools by category title name or title, I'll say. Okay, fine. Now the next thing, we need to give a function declaration to Gemini so that it would understand like what it is, what we are expecting from it. Okay, so let's just write a function declaration now. So what we are going to do is below this, let's just say const, okay, const get tools by category, and then let's just simply name it, let's just say, okay, let's just say function declaration. Okay, to keep it simple, we are saying get tools by category, and this is the function declaration to that particular function. So now it will be an object. We have to give it a name. The name is, let's just say get tools by category. So we'll say get tools by category. I will give this name to the function, and then what we have to do is we have to set some parameters. So if we have something like parameters, and then this is an object as well, and this parameter has to take in a type, like what is the type we want. Okay, so I'll just say object is what we want. Okay, and then what we are going to give is a description of this parameter. So we'll say description, and the description is, let's just have something like get the list of AI tools, from the category name. This is what this function is supposed to do. Okay, so this is my description, and once I have passed in the description, I need to give it some properties. These properties resemble the parameters. Okay, so within these properties, this will again be an object, and to this object what we have to give is a type. The parameter has to be a string. Okay, so we will say string, and then once we have the string, we are going to say description. We are going to give a description which the Gemini has to pass. So we'll say the category name or title which must be one of the following. Let's just say text generation, or you can say image generation, and then let's just say content generation. You can add more if you want, but for now let's just keep it till content generation. Okay, so that is good, I guess. Now after this title thing, okay, after these properties, what we need to do is, so okay, my bad, I made a simple mistake. Now we need to have this entire thing, these are properties, so we are passing title as our parameter, right? So we'll say title, and object within this we have to pass in this type, and the description. Okay, now after this title and properties, we will pass in one more thing which is required. What are the things which are required? So the things which is required for this guy is simply the title, nothing else. Okay, so now we are good with this function declaration. Now we have declared a function which will let Gemini know what it has to do. Okay, now the next thing is we need to define something like functions, like an executable function code which is mapped to the function which Gemini needs to be called. You will understand it more clearly when I show you how it looks. So let's just say const functions is equals to, this is an object again, we'll say get tools by category, that is the name, right? Get tools by category, that is the name which we have defined here, get tools by category. Okay, now when Gemini calls this particular function, what we have to do is it gets a title, right? Now once it has its title, we will do something else. It will return another function which is our fetch tools by category function, and pass in the appropriate title which this function needs to fetch. That is what it is doing. Okay, now we have this basic things which is the setup of new generative AI, and then our generative model, and here we need to pass in the tools. Now what are these tools? Within these tools we have to pass in our function declarations. So after this model thing, let's just say tools. Okay, what are these tools? This will be an object consisting of function declarations. Let's just say function declarations. Okay, fine, we have this function declarations thing, and then to this thing what we have to do is pass in our get tools by category function declaration. So we have simply passed this function declaration there, and that is it. Now we have set up the tools for the generative model as well. Now what we do next is we just say our generative model, this thing dot start chat, we have the generation config, and currently there is no history, so that is great as well. Okay, now again we need to have something called result, and then await chat session, send message, and it gets a prompt again. Okay, now this is a prompt. Now next what we do is let's just define something called call. Now why are we doing this call thing? Let me explain. So this call is, let's say for simplicity, it is using why are we using this? Okay, for simplicity we just need the first function call found. Like we will get multiple function calls when we run this, so we just need the first one. So let's just get that. Okay, so we are getting from this result if dot response, from this result dot response dot function calls. Okay, we get all the function calls. Out of those I only need the first guy. Okay, that is what I have done. Now we'll say if call is there, let's just add this. Okay, fine. Now if we have the call, what I am going to do is get an API response, like const API response. Now this API response will be the response this function gives us. Okay, we are getting these packages. This is the API response. Okay, now this is equals to await functions. We have our functions, right? Now from these functions we are getting this call dot name, the name of that call, and then we will pass in the arguments, call dot args, the particular arguments which we need to pass. Okay, fine. Now what we need to do is send the API response back to the model so it can generate a text response to that particular thing. Currently we don't need that, but I will simply tell you, like if you are sending this particular API response back to Gemini and getting a response out of that. For now we only need this API response, but I'll just simply show you how to do that as well. Okay, so let's just say const result2 is equals to await dot await space, we'll just say this chat session dot send message, and within this we will simply give an object within which we have to say function response. This is again an object, which will have a name, get tools by category. Now this is the function name, and then we'll simply get the response. The response passed is, let's say, API response. Okay, now these things will be passed to Gemini again, and now we will have this response. Let's just say I'll have this thing, control X from here, and paste it within the call if condition. So we'll say console log result2 dot response dot text, and we also need to return the packages so that we can show it in the front end like this. Let's just say text generation for now, and if I hit enter, we need to get the text generation things, right, like this. So for that we only return this API response instead of the response generated by Gemini. Again, we only do this, return this. Okay, so this is the thing. Now I guess it should work properly. Now we need to write a route so that we can check this thing. Okay, so again we are going to router.js, and let's just create a new function here. Let's just say router, again a post, and this time I'm going to give it something called fetch tools. Okay, we are saying slash fetch tools. Now after this we are again going to say it async request comma response, and again a try catch block. Okay, try catch, and within this catch we will simply log our error. Okay, and within the try we'll say const result is equals to await for the run function, and within this run we are going to pass in the prompt which we will get from the body. So let's just say const prompt is equals to request dot body, and we get this prompt. Okay, now into this run function we are passing in this prompt, and I think we should be good. We get the result. Now when we get the result we will simply say response.json and send this result to me. Okay, I think we are good now. Our request is simply fetch tools, so let's just say fetch dash tools. We have API slash fetch tools, right? So into this we are passing in the prompt. The prompt is give me a list of text generation AI tools, and if I click on send, let's just see what happens. Okay, there is an error. Maybe I didn't run. Okay, it's live, but what's the error we are getting? So guys, this error is simply because I am also running this application. So this backend for that thing is running on port 3000. So the current application is running on 8001. So now if I click on send, so now something should work fine. Okay, sending request at least, and again an error. So let's just see what we have this time. Okay, missing schema error. So let me just figure out this guy as well. So guys, the previous error which we got from this is because like the package model was not registered with the backend. So we need to call some function depending on it within our file so that it is registered. So this is the route which just simply gets all the packages so that it is simply used to get this thing. Like if I refresh it, I get all the packages, right? For that this was the route, but currently we don't need it. So yeah, So this is it. Now if I come here, click on API fetch tools, we are getting a response. You can see these are the packages like ChatGPT. Like if I do image generation, let's click on send, and then I should only get responses for packages with image generation. Okay, you can see the packages, categories image generation, again categories image generation, and yeah, only image generation, nothing else. So this is how it works. So you see now I'm only getting image generation. If I do image generation here as well, AI tools, and if I do that, what we are going to do is simply get tools which only work for image generation. There are only two which was same there as well, image generation, and here if you see Midjourney and DALL-E, right, that is it. So this is how function calling in Gemini works. Like come here, let me just explain everything bit by bit again in a simple language. So first we define a function, fetch tools by category, which is our DB function, like to fetch something from our database. Now we give a function declaration to Gemini, like what it is supposed to do. It is supposed to get the list of AI tools from the category name, like what, and then define the parameters. The parameters should be the category name or title, which must be one of the following. It must be either text generation, image generation, or content generation. Okay, and then we have to define something called as functions, which has like this declaration name and what this declaration has to return to us. It has to return this DB function which is fetching the data. Okay, then within the model we have to pass in this tools things and pass in the function declarations, so that Gemini's model, generative model, understands what it has to do. Then once we get the result with the prompt, we are going to get the function calls, the first one, which will be the best one, right? So we get that first one, which is as call, and if call exists, we are going to get the API response. We are getting from this functions, get me that call dot name and then its arguments, and we are getting the API response. The API response will be the response from this guy. Okay, now we get the API response, and this will be the result 2. Now what is this result 2? This result 2 is the response by Gemini after passing this API response. Okay, but in our front end we know we don't need this result 2, we only need this API response, which is this thing we get here. This is API response, and if you want to see this result 2.response.text, it is here, Midjourney DALL-E. Here is a list of text generation AI tools, ChatGPT this, Midjourney DALL-E. This is how the response is coming. It's like formatting itself and giving something what Gemini wants to do. Okay, so that is how function calling works. So I hope you understand it. I will give a reference to function calling in the description, so you can give it a check if you have any more doubts. Okay, so that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's get to meet again in another beautiful video just like this one. Until then, bye bye.